Hey, YouTube troopers, what's going on? It's your girl Tam behind the mic. Ooh, I'm drinking my crystal charged water. So in the meantime, in between time, waiting for people to come in because I got something to talk about. Baby, I put on my I sent out my short earlier today that last night my daughter had treated me for Mother's Day, which is every day is Mother's Day. But anyhow, I like to capture moments because I have practically everything that I need and I really didn't want anything, because I lost one of my daughters and it's been tough. I would have came on in and did a live earlier, but I have responsibilities. I'm taking care of my two special need grandchildren, now 15 and 11, but he's going to be 12 next week on the 26th. And my youngest granddaughter that I have by my youngest daughter, she's going to be 9. And the Val's sister is 15. So, baby, I went to the Apollo Theater yesterday to see Luenell, right? Luenell comedy. And as I was waiting for my daughters, because they had arrived earlier because they met me over there because they both were coming straight from work. And who do I see come out the car? Albsure. Now, I know Albsure from being in the music business. If no one knows, I'm a hip hop pioneer and I've done artist relationship. I've done some PR. I've worked with 7-time Apollo winners, R&B group Deep. They got a single deal offer from, oh God, from, can't think of, Ivine is his last name, Jimmy Ivine, but they didn't take it. And as a result, they disbanded. But now they're starting to do solo projects, and I'm looking forward to, as a hobby, working along with them. But baby, when Albsure came out the car or the vehicle, I think it was a truck, he had security with him. So I said, "Hey, Al." He said, "Hey, shorty," gave me a great big hug and everything. And the girls was like, "What? How you get a hug?" And I didn't oh, wow. I said, "Because that's my people's." And so he went in and I continued to wait for my daughters who was coming around the corner. Don't know what they was doing. But anyhow, they arrived and we went on inside. And I told them, Albsure was here. And they're like, "Huh?" I'm like, "Night and day." So anyhow, we went on inside. We had great seats. We wasn't up in no nosebleed. And first Capone opened up the show. And he's a riot. Then Kiki, oh God, let me think of her name. Hi in the chat. Hi, Shepherd, Kiki Shepherd. Y'all gotta bear with me because I'm, a woman of age, and sometimes my mind just don't act right because I've gone through grief and I've gone through SA assaults too, even in hip hop. So, and I'm from the first generation. But who else is in the chat? Let people know I'm live. Let them know that I'm ready to give them the tea, what Al had to say, and what went on at the Apollo Theater last night. Yes, hi, how you doing? What's going on? All right, let me get into this conversation before I forget my chain of thought. So anyhow, they came out. Then Luenell came out. But before Luenell came out, she had her Lulu Booze which consisted of her daughter with a dance team. They were on point. They did their thing. And then Luenell proceeded and said one of her special friends was in the audience and she brought Albie. Of course, they was playing night and day. So as soon as Albie came out on stage, there was a heckler that was like screaming. He was in the same area that we were in, right behind us, a couple of rows behind. He was yelling that Albie Shore is a snitch and he don't hate that so and so. And how? Okay, bye. Thanks for stopping in. Yes, I accept your apologies. So anyway, he was just going in, and I was like, "You better shut up, cause that's my people's." Oh, he was talking about the Diddy and calling him all sorts of snitch, and he was just a belligerent freaking drunk. And the chick he had with him, she looked like she was desperate, and I'm not for sure whether or not he purchased them tickets for her. Hell no, I don't think so. But he created such a ruckus that we were so close to the stage that I'm sure Al heard it, but he went on to proceed to say that in lieu of everything, that is going on, for everybody to give him prayers. Like, share, and subscribe. Right? Like, share, and subscribe. So anyway, yeah, that, please keep his son Quincy in our prayers too. Quincy, Christian, Chance, all, and his ex-wife, Kim, in the prayers. And he was gracious. Then he left the stage. Then when Luenell got back to speak on the microphone, this moron started again. And at first, when he started going off, I started going off on him. And one of my daughters, my youngest daughter, know how I can get. Ma, calm down. Just calm down. Right? Because I used to be able to put in some work. But he was getting on my damn nerves because I'm a victim's fan and I'm a survivor's fan. Yes, I am. So anyhow, he started up again. Luenell, how dare you bring this so-and-so on stage and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, look, somebody call security. And my daughter, who's a hothead, the youngest one, because I raised them in Brownsville and never ran, never will, even though they're beauty and brains. And I exposed them to a lot of things outside of Brownsville. But, yeah, his behind and his, whoever the hell he was with, they had to be escorted out the place. Then people was yelling, make the tickets much higher, Luenell. It was a ruckus, but eventually it settled in, and then the show just continued. But I just wanted to kick it with you all and let you know that, yeah, Albie sure looks so damn good. He's not thin. He got his weight up. He smelled good. And I'm not like one of those fan girls or, kind of groupie. Never been. Never been, because I'm an artist. And I was always about my business. But however, I was groomed and, I understand what Cassie has said and is going through. Not to some of the extremes. No, I have not had those menage a trois and all of that crap that they was doing. And nobody can convince me to do it. So they had to take things from me. And then trying to mix with my mind. And, everybody always say, oh, you're supposed to forgive, but you never forget. Because the music industry is such a small circle. And I know from my own experience, when I got to a place in my therapy that I started speaking out, like, for instance, with the, used to be called the Universal Hip Hop Museum. Now it's called the Hip Hop Museum. And they had, my opinion, it was a smokescreen about like they care, and they was partnering in with the then mayor de Blasio's wife, Shirlene McCray, on this New York City Thrives. And still to this day, nobody has really audited that program, and millions of dollars was spent, and it did not go to a lot of people in the community, including my deceased daughter. Right? So when I talked about my experiences and me experimenting and, dealing with substance abuse, not crack, somebody's going around defaming my character for years and saying, sorry, my lip, saying that I was on crack. If I was smoking crack, I'd have said so. But that wasn't my forte. And I was using it to conceal a lot of the devastation things that happened to me and what I saw and what I've been through. So I just wanted to tap in and let you know that. And the more that, I speak upon it, it's quite healing. I spoke to my therapist earlier because I'm still in therapy. And if you want to like, share, subscribe, and donate, my Cash App is there, as well as my PayPal in my description. And it's been a tough journey, and it seems like it's been one thing after the other. Another thing that I wanted to touch bases on is the possibility, if Diddy is convicted, will he receive a presidential pardon by President Donald J. Trump? It's a possibility. I don't know what kind of deals. I'm sure there would have to be a deal for that to happen. And I think, I hope that it doesn't happen, but I've hoped for a lot of things not to happen, and it has occurred. I've also wanted people to do the right thing by me and my grandchildren, and even me as a young kid, but that didn't happen. So there's always the possibility of him getting a pardon. And, a lot of misconception that they have about the case is, people keep saying, where's the RICO at? Where's the RICO? Cassie lied. She changed up her story. You don't know the kind of mind that complex trauma individuals have. I do, because I have complex trauma. It doesn't look like it, but I think that from what I went through, and from, dealing with shicey people in the music business and hip hop, that years ago I developed fibromyalgia, and I had biopsy taken, so they checked into my cells, so it's not like an assumption. And sometimes I'm in chronic pain within my joints. And let me just say that I'm not watching, because it's not televised, the trial. But however, I've been listening to various different bloggers' commentary. And shout out to Tisha Tells, because she's doing a damn thing. And also Jaguar Wright. People have controversies with Jag, but sometimes you have to look beyond that. And for me, she has been a champion. So has my girl Layla Wills. And unfortunately, a lot of victims in the alleged accusations about Africa Bambaataa, they have been silent through the Zulu Nation, which is awful, because nobody is taking accountability. And it's like we living in a culture where accountability is not being had. Excuse me. Nor corrective action. It took me a while to get on here because I had to, make some dinner for my grandchildren. I have all three of them here. They went to the park with one of my other daughters, and they had a good time. But like I'm saying, there's no accountability. And what's so sad, and it's mostly the color of our skin that is doing it. And there's a lot of zesty men and prop zesty men that's on the down low. And people say, oh, they're married. What that mean? What that mean? Huh? That could be bye. You know, me personally, I don't have anything against the LGBTQI and whatever the letters are, because when I was a teenager, I would leave the hip hop clubs or the venues. I go hang out with my older friends because I always had older friends because I had older cousins that I used to hang out with. I was more closer with my guy cousins because the female cousins didn't like me. And I was okay with that because I was a piece of work. I was a no nonsense, and my cousin Jamaica used to make me um, beat up his sister, my cousin. He was bad. He was with the Seven Crowns. So that's how I know Fat Cat and all of them and Supreme Team. But I wasn't like really heavily like in that mix because I wasn't around. But far as Cassie is concerned, as far as I'm concerned, you know, it's a possibility Diddy could get off. I'm praying that that's not the case, because you see what happens? You see these scales of justice, right? They don't always balance. And this sharp sword, some it may poke differently. So let's just hope that this case will be the case that bring light to what's going on and what has transpired very early on within hip hop and various different other genres and arts. And it's sad that it's a prerequisite that you have to engage in all of this freaky deaky. Now, if you want to be freaky deaky or kinky, that's on you. That's not a secret either, because I remember on 33rd Street, I never participated, but I know they had Plato's Retreat and people engaged in stuff like that, right? Um, because I never wanted to be involved, because that's just wasn't my preference. But however, now it's gotten so that, you know, after people having that experience, now we're creating a double problem because now we have a lot of mental illness, you know, and it's high ranking. And I think that's why one of the communication directors at the museum said to me that Africa Bambaataa has a legacy, because this thing must go high up, you know. And now Ronald Savage recanted. Well, he's on the forgiveness or recovery forgiveness tour or whatever the hell he is. And like I told him, I believe that you was coerced. And, you know, some people will compromise themselves just to be down. I'm not that type of person. You know, whether or not it's employment, it's in the music industry, wherever. So, anyway, I am asking everybody to keep albsure and his son, Quincy, his ex-wife, Kim Porter, the twins, the rest of Diddy's children in prayer. He ain't say nothing about Diddy. I was hoping that he would have his books on handy, and I thought maybe he was going to do like a quick book signing. I didn't even get a chance to ask him about that. But I did post, and I'll probably may DM him on another occasion But yeah, you know, Al got his weight back. He's living two lives in one lifetime. How you doing? I'm from New York. I'm a native New Yorker. Where you from? Martin Asante. Hi, where are you from? Huh? Okay, well, I'm gonna end this live for now and spend some time with my grandboos, and we'll probably watch a movie, and I'll put my feet up and take my medication. But yeah, I had a good time overall, because it gave me an opportunity to kind of break the monotony of, it feel like I'm so raw on the inside. And then you're from London? Oh, England. Good. Peace out. Peace up to London. Yeah, I remember some young ladies. One lady that I had to, well, she was I don't know how old they were. I rescued a young lady that was bounded in a recording studio, and I never knew what happened to them. Yeah, so, this sex trafficking is very deep, and it's been going on for decades, for decades, for decades, and people are forgetting about this Diddy trial, that was just the foundation, you know, and we'll have to wait and see. But again, like I said, I'm rocking and rolling with any survivors and any victims, because even when I was younger and I left home, I thought that we got thrown out or discharged out of the group home because we would come back late from me performing at various different venues and the jams, because it wasn't hip hop then. But then I found out later on, years later, that um, one of the employees in the shelter was raping the boys and molesting them. And I remember seeing boys come up through the parking lot. This was in Queens, Union, off Union Hall Street. And it looked like their soul was gone. And I used to wonder, like, wow, because I learned later on in life that through my aura and my energy and accepting and listening to my intuition, it's usually right. So as an adult, I found out that, some boys, and then a lot of them went to Boys Town. And I've throughout the years, I've only ran into one guy, and we had won a 24-hour dance marathon in Queens with Cypher Sounds and Infinity Machine for charity at the old post office on Linden Boulevard. But again, being the fact that I've had enough courage, and it's taken me a long time to discuss and try to get some relief, which I didn't, because I submitted my complaint pro se, and it created that trauma all over again. And it was unlocking doors that, survivors have a way of compartmentalizing. That's what they call it, suppressing it. And my hands are full, and then sometimes I'm not always well, so I'm not on every set. And I'm just trying to get a little better, and I'm trying to open up my throat chakras so I could be able to talk and express. And I'm here on YouTube because I want to be able to interact with the crowd. Yeah. People, and I like to help people too. And I just try to follow people that's in my tribe. I belong to an organization called National Association of Black Female Executives in Music and Entertainment. This is our founder's 25th year anniversary. So if you're interested and you're into the music or entertainment, NAFM is a great organization. We don't get a lot of bells and whistles because Johnny Walker was one of the senior vice president at Def Jam. When I submitted my demo and somebody used my song and switched it around and did all the Robin stuff, it's just ridiculous. Um, she wasn't there. She was when the ship was up and running. And I'm from the St. Albans area and Hollis area, so I know D and all of them, but there were crews before them, and I fall into that category. We are the foundation of that area. So that's where I'm going to educate people on, and that's where, I'm really recording, and I'll probably, being the fact that I have bilateral carpal tunnel, thank God for AI and the voice activation, so it could be doing the typing for me. And I'm really considering doing articles, and so I can complete my book. I've already started. And my accusers are taking me to court for defamation of character, and I countersued. So it's a lot that's going on here, and there's a lot riding on this case. And I'm hoping and praying to the creator of all things, God, that justice, the scales of justice. Come on now. Oop. It didn't balance that time. Didn't balance that time. Let me put it back on here. Okay. Yeah. I need to shout out Ticket TV. I've been watching so many, and I could have probably had a big platform, but I was fighting with my job. And again, what we do to one another, and I wasn't willing to lay on my back because I don't crap where I eat. And that's just for me on the job. And I don't let people use me and then toss me because, as the story goes, we were not getting properly, especially female MCs, were not getting properly compensated and paid for. We were preyed, a lot of us were preyed upon by the older cats that didn't have no good intentions. So I protect my space, and then I was going in and out. Let me see, keep it right there. There go the scales of justice. So I protect my energy, I protect my space. I no longer hang out with people that are jealous. I want to say they're family members. Anybody that's toxic, gotta go. And I've learned through decades how, I should proceed. Even in the workplace, I didn't receive a lot of my benefits because I spoke out. I was a shop steward, and I believed in the workers' rights and their rights to wages. And, there's a big thing with power and control, and there's a big thing with abuse of power. And no one is being held accountable. So that's the way it is. So yeah, we're going to keep, I'll be sure, we're going to keep the family. We're going to keep all of them, the children, in prayer. Because I don't know why they're sitting through, because it's very graphic. And they knew, just like they knew of AB and they knew of R. Kelly, they knew of all of this stuff transpiring. And it's so sad because our community is being impacted and affected. And that's all I got to say for now. So peace, blessings, and light. Share, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you all soon.